What happened? That's the first question Kevin Stefanski asked out loud, and the answer was a phone call, a division rival, and a trade that landed like a surprise punch. For a second, pictured through the Browns facility on a Tuesday evening, coaches wrapping up walkthroughs, players winding down, and then a front office ringtone that rearranges the room. The Bengals called. In a hurry, Cleveland sent Joe Flacco, plus a 2026 sixth round pick, to Cincinnati for a 2026 fifth rounder. It was fast, it was weird, and it was between two teams that barely trade with each other. That last part matters because interdivision swaps are rarer than a snow day in June. Cy Stefanski's reaction was perfectly human. The Joe trade took us by surprise, he told reporters. He didn't sound annoyed, exactly. He sounded honest and slightly off balance, like a coach who just found out a player he valued was suddenly wearing another jersey. He made two things crystal clear. Andrew Berry handled the deal, and the choice unfolded quickly once Cincinnati called. That speed is why this story feels less like chess and more like live fire improvisation. Cincinnati.com. Now, let's not sentimentalize Flacco. He's a 40-year-old veteran whose career reads like an NFL epic: Super Bowl MVP, decades in the league, backup and starter roles across franchises. But the tape from this season wasn't pretty. Limited production, more turnovers than anyone hoped for, and a recent benching in Cleveland that made him available in the first place. The Browns traded him not because he's a villain, but because the market suddenly appeared and the front office decided to act. Trades aren't always about performance. Sometimes they're about timing and opportunity. BleacherReport.com. What actually changes because of this trade? On the field, Cincinnati gets a veteran who can steady nerves and make routine reads. The Bengals named him their starter for the upcoming game, which signals they wanted immediate competence rather than long-term upside. Cleveland, meanwhile, cleared room for its younger quarterback plan. Dillon Gabriel keeps the starting job for now, and Shedeur Sanders moved up to a more visible spot on the depth chart. For a rookie who started the preseason buried on the roster, that's a life-changing nudge toward relevance. Reuters, here's the human cost and the human upside in one breath. Flacco gets a chance to start again in a quarterback-desperate moment. The Browns get a small draft bump and a cleaner developmental runway for Gabriel and Sanders. But there's fallout. Stefanski admitted the trade surprised the coaching staff, which means there wasn't time for a carefully staged handoff, mentorship plan, or a structured veteran exit speech. That abruptness can rattle locker rooms. Players respect process. They also respect being in the loop. When they aren't, trust takes a tiny hit. Cincinnati.com. Let's zoom into the Sanders variable because it's the spicy emotional part of this story. Shedeur was QB4 at the end of preseason. Within days, he's QB2. That's an enormous narrative lift. Cameras turn, social feeds wake up, and every scratchy highlight from college gets replayed like it's a prophecy. Great for visibility. Potentially terrible for a rookie who still needs quiet work. Coaches can protect a prospect, or they can throw him into the public kiln. Either choice has consequences. The Browns now face a simple truth. If Gabriel stumbles for a quarter or a drive, the Sanders conversation will stop being academic and become urgent. Cy, what does Cincinnati actually get? A veteran who knows how to manage a huddle and who can probably make the offense stop embarrassing itself for a week or two. That's useful when you're trying to keep a season alive after a primary injury. But don't mistake competence for salvation. Flacco isn't a magic pill. Learning a new playbook, throwing to new receivers, and syncing with an offensive line in October is a heavy lift even for the savviest vet. Expect steadier drive charts? Yes. Expect miracles? Don't bet your jersey on it. Reuters, now the managerial angle, and this is where the soap opera bubbles. When a GM moves a player without the coach fully prepped, it looks like hierarchy malfunction. Stefanski was careful not to throw anyone under the bus. He praised Flacco privately and deferred to Andrew Berry for the business side. But the optics are what they are. A coach surprised by a roster decision he didn't see coming. That can be explained away with trust speak, but it also plants a seed. Who's running the long game here, and how synchronized is the front office with the coaching room? In teams built for discipline, that alignment is the glue. Right now, the Browns have a small crack to repair. Cincinnati.com. Okay, two short scenarios to watch because seasons are just collections of what happened next. Scenario 1. Flacco stabilizes the Bengals. He's not perfect, but he's competent. Cincinnati stops self-destructing in the first half, the offense looks pro again, and Zach Taylor buys time. The trade looks smart, cheap insurance that buys a few weeks of clarity. Scenario 2. Flacco struggles to adapt. Timing is off, chemistry never clicks, and the Bengals offense sputters through another week where it looks like a collection of parts rather than a unit. Critics point to the trade as a panic move. Taylor's seat gets hotter. The pick swap becomes a punchline. Reuters, here's the thing you should take to the comments. The trade isn't a verdict on Flacco's worth or on Stefanski's coaching. It's a moment that reveals how NFL organizations work under pressure. GMs will always make deals that surprise, coaches will publicly process them, players will adapt or air grievances. The fascinating part is watching who adapts best. Does Cleveland use the draft bump and the roster shuffle to lock down a patient development path for Sanders and Gabriel? Or do they get sucked into the noise and make reactive moves that cost stability? That answer will tell you more about the franchise than the trade itself. That Cincinnati.com. Final line, trades are cheap theater until they're not. This one was a quick scene change. A veteran exits stage left, a rookie moves into a brighter light, a coach blinks and says, "We didn't see that coming." 2 weeks from now, we'll know whether it was cunning or chaos. For now, the Browns' locker room keeps breathing, Stefanski keeps coaching, and Joe Flacco will try to turn a surprise second act into a functioning story. Reuters. Kevin Stefanski said what a lot of people suspected, but few got on record. The Joe Flacco trade blindsided the Browns. Stefanski told reporters the deal took us by surprise, explaining Cincinnati called, and the front office, led by GM and Andrew Berry, moved quickly. He praised Flacco personally and professionally, said he's hopeful for him, and emphasized the team's eyes are now on the Steelers. Joe and I had a lot of conversations. He's somebody we think very highly of, the person and the player, Stefanski said. Why it matters. The swap instantly reshapes Cleveland's QB room. Flacco's departure clears a path for Shedeur Sanders to be listed as the backup and signals the Browns are leaning into Dillon Gabriel as their starter. Stefanski's comment that the trade happened very fast underlines that this wasn't the product of a long, premeditated plan, but a reaction to an outside offer the front office couldn't ignore. Quick context, Flacco struggled early in 2025, 2 TDs, 6 INTs through 4 weeks, but remains a respected veteran after his 2023 comeback run with Cleveland. The Browns take a small draft bump in return and now must manage the roster, practice reps, and media chatter around Sanders, all while preparing for Sunday's game against Pittsburgh. What to watch this week? Who takes the majority of scout team reps shows who coaches trust. Any roster moves? Do the Browns activate a veteran like Bailey Zappi? Coaching language about game plans if Sanders were to be inserted. How Dillon Gabriel handles bookend pressure in practice and game prep. One-line social caption. Stefanski, the Joe trade took us by surprise. Browns shuffle QBs, trust Gabriel. Shedeur's path just got a lot clearer.